I guess the release of Stalker 2 on PlayStation 5 is today. And so I've been sharing and following the news about the release. Just recently, we had the version 1.7 Expedition update for Stalker 2. I'm not sure if that's rolling out with the PlayStation 5 release or not, but I'm sure that if it isn't, that they'll be able to update, um, as soon as they connect to the PlayStation Network or whatever it is their multiplayer community is called. I don't own a PlayStation, so I don't know. And I don't work in the games journalism industry. What I do have is gaming experience that goes back to 1975 when I played Night Driver by Atari um, in the arcade with my father. Um, I'm not sure if the arcade version was by Atari, but Night Driver did show up on the Atari, was it 2600? Um, so I assume Atari must have bought the title if it wasn't originally theirs. Anyway, so I've got a long history with gaming. Uh, yeah, going back to the Atari 2600, the classic Atari console, or was it 2400? I always get that mixed up. Atari came out with a number of different, like, home computers after that, and some of their nomenclature was similar to the original Atari console. Like, I knew the Atari console well enough that I knew if you like fiddled with the power button, power switch, while the game cartridge was in the game, you could sometimes get alternate versions of the game, like where it would load strangely, and yeah, you could get some really strange versions of the Atari console games by doing that. Um, anyway, so yeah, over the years I played on different consoles, on different personal computer systems, but we're here to talk about Stalker 2. So there was this, at launch, there was a mass reaction against the game. Um, you had people either enjoying it, or you had people who were just venomous in their relentless attacks on the title. Personally, I think it was partially politically driven. You've got lots of Russia fanboys while the Russia Ukraine war goes on, and GSC Game World is a Ukrainian company, and it made the decision to wipe any references from Russia, or references um, towards Russia, from the game. Um, and I think they also decided against Russian voice lines, and some players objected to that. Um, at And at least until you get different weapon upgrades, it seemed like GSC Game World was like insulting some of the Russian weapons in the game. But then I've since found out that you just need to explore enough of the zone to get the weapon upgrades that bring your weapon up to your Russian weapon up to the state that it should be in. Although I haven't seen anything that fixes the APS Stechkin, what's called the APS-B in the game. I I really don't understand what they did there. The APS is supposed to fire semi-auto, that is one shot per trigger pull, and fully automatic. But it's kind of known that the APS may be, hard to control in longer bursts of full automatic fire. Um, I think you can get a stock for it, but that stock is not in the game, and the stock makes it easier to control in full auto. Um, but the APS-B in the game fires only 3-round burst. Like it, it doesn't even have a semi-automatic fire mode, which is just bizarre, if you ask me. Now, these are just, gun nut complaints. Um, and, it's debatable whether real world weapon performance is so necessary in a game that isn't portraying the real world. So, anyway, but what were the complaints against the title? The real complaints. Um, One was that players weren't getting the A life system that they were promised. Um, this is this is kind of strange, a strange complaint. It, if their complaint was based on reason, it would be um, that the A life that they got, which was it was called A life version 2.0, right? So that means that because the version number is different, that means that it doesn't necessarily have to be the very same as the A life that was found in the previous Stalker titles, right? And I don't think anybody expected them to port over the A life code from the earlier games from that engine over to the Unreal Engine, right? So it's a given that it was going to be different code. So when someone says, well, we didn't get the A life that we were promised, they should be listing what's missing from the A life that existed in the earlier Stalker titles. If they're not doing that, if they're just saying, well, we didn't get the A life we were promised, they're just parroting the prevalent narrative that's out there, right? You've got to come at me with facts. Now, another thing that was a complaint was the performance. Now, certainly this game would not run well on my system with a 1080 card, and I really didn't want to reduce the settings to such a degree that it would, because the quality just wouldn't be there, and this was a graphically impressive game, and I certainly didn't want to be unimpressed with the graphics. So what was my solution? Well, very early in 2025, I subscribed to GeForce Now, and I have been playing the game ever since with its 20 to 30 milliseconds of input lag. Um, on my system with its 1080 card. And I have been enjoying the game ever since. If I wasn't enjoying the game for whatever reason, I wouldn't be playing the game. And you can see all of my videos on my channel where I've been playing the game up. I'm now up to like 282 hours in the game, right? So I've got the receipts. I've been playing it. You could see the dates. I typically play from an hour or two at a time in a session. Uh, some days I take a break. Um, Rarely I'll play more than one session in a day. You know, if I'm feeling like I'm really having a good time or there's something I really want to see. Um, so yeah, so you can't tell me that I haven't been enjoying the game since the beginning because I've got the receipts to prove it. Um, Bugs. I really haven't encountered that many bugs. If I did, I would have a complaint that would probably make the game unenjoyable and I would stop playing it. Um, I tried to play the very first Stalker title, and when I got to the vehicle graveyard, I think it was somewhere north of the bridge in the Rookie Village sector. Um, I found for the gear that I had amassed at that point, which wasn't great, I think. I found myself unable to get past the firefight in that location, so I never did. I may actually have gotten past it and then to a warehouse type area that would allow me to go to another area. But anyway, I did not get much farther than that in the game. I just found it too difficult. And that was why when Stalker 2 Heart of Chornobyl, excuse me, was being developed and I saw that I was able to get through to the developers, I specifically asked them to create an easy mode that was truly easy because I wanted to be able, because in Anomaly I can set the settings to the easiest mode, and again, I do not get very far in that game. And you could say skill issue, noob, you suck, whatever, or get good. It doesn't matter because um, I'm like playing this game not to flex. I'm playing this game because I want to sightsee the zone. So I asked the devs to make an easy mode that was truly easy because unlike in the previous titles where I didn't get to actually appreciate all of their work, I told them, you know, I really want to be able to see all of the work that you've put into this game. I want to sightsee. And it doesn't matter if other gamers think poorly of me because I don't have it on master difficulty, which is a new option. I don't care. I'm there to put my eyes on the zone. I'm not there to show how awesome I am because I've got a 1080 display, and an older CPU. My 1080 display has a 60 hertz refresh rate. that doesn't make for flex videos. Um, maybe there are guys who can flex with a 60 hertz refresh rate, but most of those top tier gamers, they're playing it like I've even heard somebody say that their display is like 240 hertz or something. So come on. So I've been playing since the beginning in easy mode. I've been enjoying it. No bugs have ever caused me to just give up playing the game. Um, Nothing in the performance through GeForce Now has ever made me want to give up playing the game. No, um, like unintended obstacles in the main quest have made me want to give up playing the game. And at 282 hours, I have done a lot of sightseeing in the zone. Um, I've revisited some areas uh, multiple times because either a quest drove me there, or I had left behind some loot, or there was some loot that I couldn't figure out how to access, and then later, as my mind was working on the problem, it came up with the solution, so then I would go back and get it. Sometimes I would inadvertently see someone else's video where I would find out, how to access that loot, and if it was loot I really wanted, I'd go back and get it. You might consider that cheating, but the game's been out for a year, right? So um, I don't know if you could say that anybody's under a spoiler ban at this point, although I do try to warn viewers of my videos about spoilers. But yeah. So now that we're at version 1.7, there are still people who are pretending that the performance hasn't improved. It has. You have tons of people right now saying that they're getting like 30% more FPS in towns. Um, yeah. Um, Lots of the bugs have been addressed. We've had, you know, what is it, at least 7 updates so far. Uh, I think some bugs have either resurfaced or been introduced. Like I saw a post saying that there's a helicopter in a certain area that's missing, and that the birds that sit on its rotor blades are now sitting in the middle of the air. So like it looks like it's an invisible helicopter now. Um, I heard something about the poltergeists are throwing objects through walls at the player. That's a little annoying. Um, so yeah, but if you've ever followed any game that's undergone multiple updates, you've probably seen cases where bugs have been reintroduced, and or new bugs have been introduced while others have been squashed. It's it seems to be an annoying fact of life in the industry, and that's one thing that we put up with, because if we enjoy the game, you've got no choice but to put up with it. It used to be like you could roll back to an earlier version that you liked, but now a lot of the game services, I guess, prevent you from doing that. Hmm. So I think another reason that the industry has come out against this game is because I can be savoring the entire world, exploring every bit of it, trying to uncover every bit of loot in it, and here I am at 282 hours. I was just about to enter Pripyat, but I just remembered that after I finish picking the Dugas clean, that there is a hunting quest that I might want to do, because I've heard that once you enter Pripyat through the main quest that you're locked out of free roam. And I don't know if that's true, but I'm not taking any chances. I'll surely manually save my save files, back them up so that I can always roll back if I want to. Um, but then I've heard that there are mods that now allow you to spawn in different parts of the zone at the beginning, um, and without the main storyline or the main quest. So, unfortunately, though, on GeForce Now you can't use mods. But maybe one day I'll have a system where I'll be able to play this game with mods. Nevertheless, some of the updates have provided some of the features that I've wanted in the title, like turning off the headshot indicator. Um, I just thought that was gamey. I didn't like that at all. That's like something from Call of Duty or PUBG or something. I just didn't like that at all. I mean, there was I think a Medal of Honor Screaming Eagles or something like that, where when you shot the Germans in the head, their helmets would clang and sometimes their helmets would go flying. But I think all bullet impacts should have a sound to them if they're not drowned out by the actual report of your weapon. Um, because bullets hitting surfaces make noise. I don't think there should be a special sound for impacting somebody's head versus impacting the rest of their body. Um, anyway, so I've disabled that now. It used to be a mod that someone made, but now it's a feature in the game, so I've disabled it. Anyway, so what I'm trying to tell you is that I've been playing since the beginning of 2025, shortly after the game's release. I've been playing Stalker 2 on my system with its 1080 card, using GeForce Now with its 20 to 30 milliseconds of input lag, and I've been enjoying the title since then. There haven't been any bugs or performance problems or main story obstacles or anything that have prevented me from playing the game. I think one of the reasons that the industry has come out against this game is because it is so playable. Because the main story, if you take time and savor the world, can have up to 282 hours of gameplay and more. And what does that mean? That means if you're busy playing this game, then you're not buying other games. You're not fueling the industry with consumerist habits. You've essentially found one game that is satisfying you enough to take up all or most of your time, and that's not what the industry wants. Um, I still think that the political dimension of this game's development is also a driving force, but that's not something that's easy to document, although it's logical, just as the game industry's hostility to a very replayable game is logical. Um, follow the money. So, I think if you listen to the parrots and let them deprive you of this title, if a Slavic um, post apocalyptic type game interests you, uh, tactical first person shooter with RPG elements, if that interests you and you let these parrots persuade you against purchasing the game and enjoying it, you're silly because, maybe you don't have a 4090 card or a 5080 card, whatever. You can still enjoy this game if you really want to through GeForce Now, just as I have been for the majority of this year. So it's up to you. Don't let other people tell you what to do. Um, it's really whether the premise of this game or whether this type of game interests you. That should be what is driving your decision to purchase and play this game. Um, you can, of course, uh, play free versions of the old titles and with all their improved graphical mods. There are some mods out there that can make the older game look almost as good as Stalker 2. Some might say better, but that's a route you can take. But you're still going to need a pretty good graphics card to handle those mods. Um, so, do you want to play the new content? If I had to describe it, and I think it's a fair comparison, I would say that this game plays a lot like Far Cry 2 or Far Cry 3. Um, and I think I didn't really get very far into Far Cry 4, so I can't really say too much about that one. Um, it, yeah, except, it might be a little bit grittier. Um, and Far Cry 2 had some gameplay insufficiencies in that you didn't have much unscripted faction versus faction fighting, and the animals would never attack you in Far Cry 2, and they also wouldn't seem to attack any of the NPCs. That changed with Far Cry 3, and really Far Cry 3's gameplay is a pretty good approximation to um, what you'll get in Stalker 2, except that the Stalker 2 world is a lot more bizarre and gritty than Far Cry 3 was. So anyway, that's Gaming Bolt. I think pretty well um, gave us a good, or gave their viewers a good picture of the history and the progress of this title. Um, but you'll get lots of commenters who just seem like they're not, um, they don't appreciate anything. They're not happy with anything. They act like, $60 to $100 for a game that they really want to play is like going to um, somehow financially ruin them. Um, it's just I don't know who these people are, man. They're not from my generation, that's for sure. So it's up to you. I'm just trying to give you the straight scoop. I don't work for the game journalism industry. I don't work for GSC. I did buy Stalker, uh, Shadow of Chernobyl, I think it was, um, when it first came out, and I tried to play it, but it was just too difficult for me. So um, this has been a game that franchise that has interested me for since the like early 2000s, and that's why I'm here now. That's why I'm enjoying Stalker 2 now. Um, it's not exactly the same as the original Stalkers, uh, for the reasons mentioned, but at least now, when someone says Rostock, I know what they're talking about, because I've been there so many times, and I have a much better understanding of the zone, and that was my motivation for playing the game. Is I wanted to sightsee the Chernobyl exclusion zone as presented in the Stalker franchise, and the game has completely delivered on that. Um, so I'm happy with it. If it interests you and you purchase it, I hope you're happy with it too. That's all I got for you.